Okay, I think we are live. Hello, world. I'm Chris, aka Mr. Flickster. In this episode, I'm going to review Final Destination Bloodlines. And then, I'm going to rank all the Final Destination movies. Oh, I'm so excited. Let's talk horror movies. Roll the intro, shall we? Live from Niagara Falls, it's Mr. Flickster Show on Saturday nights. Video. Hello, world. I'm Chris Maitini, aka Mr. Flickster. Mr. Flickster. So, before we get into tonight's main topic, I just want to do a quick follow up to last week's episode. And I want to talk about the box office. But before I get to that, I want to do a tribute to Tony Todd. Because tonight is all about Final Destination, and he's in almost all of these movies. Tony Todd was born December 4th, 1954, in Washington, D.C., in Marina del Rey, California. He was 69 when he passed away of stomach cancer. May he rest in peace. Can we just get a moment of silence for Tony Todd? Thank you. So let's just go over some of his body of work. Let's see, hold on, remove. And now go here. So if we go to IMDb, because aside from Final Destination, his most iconic role is probably Candyman, if I could spell. There we go. Updates, go away. Whoa, don't do that. Okay. Here we go. Because he's one of those people, he's an icon. He's got a very long list of credits. So let's take a look. He is in the new Final Destination movie. I'll get to that in a little bit. But as you can see, he has quite the long list. He also seems to appear in random horror movies too, which is awesome. It's always nice to see him show up. He just has this undeniable screen presence. He was even in the remake of Candyman, although that was disappointing because it's just like a brief cameo. as you can see, he's got a long list of movies and TV shows. Hellfest is really good. I highly recommend that one if you haven't seen it. Victor Crowley's good. They're all good, really. And this is only going back the last 10 years. She's got so much work under his belt. Oh, he was even on... Oh, that's a game. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that. But yeah, he did a lot of voiceover work, too, for video games. His voice is iconic. Be my victim. I can't even go as deep as he goes. Here's Candyman. That came out in 1992. And then he was also in... Yeah, there it is. It's a small part, but he's also in The Crow. Most people forget that. That was a couple years later, in 1994. And it looks like he started his career... Oh, look at that. He was in an episode of MacGyver. That's cool. I didn't know that. And Night Court. That's funny. Wouldn't imagine him on a show like Night Court. Oh, and he was on 21 Jump Street. Again, that's not something you would usually picture him on. Okay, so it looks like his first movie was Sleepwalk, and then he was in Platoon after that in the same year. Interesting. I didn't even know that. So there's a brief little history of Tony Todd. Here. Oh, wait. I gotta go here. Yeah. And then get rid of this. Put this back. Yeah. Rest in peace, Tony Todd. You will be missed. So, now let's talk a little bit about the box office last week, shall we? In a segment that I like to call the Weekend Box Office Update. Oh, wait, let's share the screen first. That would be good. Yeah, here we go. So this is the box office last weekend. May 9th to the 11th, 2025. Oh, excuse me. So it looks like number one was Thunderbolts. And it had $32.3 million. It dropped significantly, though. It dropped 56%, but it's still in 4,000 theaters, so that's not bad. It's still in the most out of all of them so far. And it's grossed over $127.7 million. Last week it was in number two. Second place was Sinners. That made another $22.1 million. It's still in 3,500 theaters. That's not bad. It actually got an increase in theaters. Wow. Thunderbolts didn't change. So that made a total of $215.4 million. And then third is Minecraft. It made another 7.6. That's a huge gap between the two. Second and third place. Wow. It's still in about the same amount of theaters as Sinners, but it lost some. But it still has $408.6 million. I'd even round that up to 0.7. But yeah, it's still got a very, very well, it's about halfway to $1 billion, but I think it's going to make it. It did do a bit of a drop there, almost half actually. So yeah, that's not good. But I think with the theater count and with the good word of mouth, I think my prediction still holds strong that Minecraft's going to be the first $1 billion movie this year. Number 4 was The Accountant 2. This made $6.7 million, still in about 3,400 theaters, and it's made $51.5 million. I don't know about you, but I never saw the first Accountant, and I'm not really interested in seeing the second one, but hey, sounds like people are interested. There is a follow-in there. Number 5 is Clown in the Cornfield. This one looks really good. I'm looking forward to this one. This is the first week. Oh, wait, hold on. It's been in theaters for 2 weeks. Last week, Thunderbolts was number 1. I misread that before. Sinners was 2 last week. Minecraft is 3. Accountant 2 was 4. So these didn't really change. They stayed in the same spots. That's interesting. $3.6 million for its debut in about 2,000 theaters. So that's got a good, healthy start for a low-budget horror movie. Shadow Force. I'm not familiar with this one. I don't know what this is. Sabrina, if you're watching, could you look up Shadow Force? It made $2.1 million. So I don't know if that's good or bad, because it says here it only made about $1,000 for each theater. Depends on the budget, really. At number 7 is Fight or Flight. That's another one I'm not too familiar with. Could you look that one up too, please, Sabrina? Thank you. Got $2 million, 2,000 theaters. Number 8 is Until Dawn. It made $1.9 million. It dropped a lot this week. Look at that, almost 50%. But it's still in 2,465 theaters. So its total is 17. Sorry. Yes, Shadow Hunters. No, sorry. Shadow Force. Shadow Force. Shadow Force. Fight or Flight. Where's my mouse? There it is. Right here. Number 6, Shadow Force. Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. I lost my mouse again. Here we go. Go back. Yeah, Shadow Force. And the other one is called Fight or Flight. See, number 8, Until Dawn. I did that. Oh, too far. I keep losing my mouse. Sorry about that. There we go. Like, I'll have control of it, and then I won't. And then it freezes on me. Here we go. Okay. Okay, we're good. Number 8 is Until Dawn. I already covered that one. 17.9 million. Number 9 is The Amateur. Oh, I don't want that. Oh, oh. Sorry, technical difficulties. Cancel. Oh no. Okay. Let's just go back to. Oh no. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's go. Yeah, okay. We're good? Okay, we're good. I did Until Dawn. Number 9, The Amateur. Gotta love live TV, but the show must go on. The Amateur, that made $1.1 million. It's made $39 million so far. It's still holding strong, although it did drop 3 positions. As you can see, it was at 6 last week. Sorry, I misread the charts before. My mouse seems to be functioning a little better now. Okay. And then number 10 is King of Kings. That one's holding on strong. It made $78,391. I want to make sure I didn't screw that up. So there's a big drop, like a big gap between 9 and 10. And then this made $59 million. But the funny thing is, oh, there's my mouse again. Okay. What I really wanted well, hold on, before I get to that. They did re-release Revenge of the Sith in theaters. I'm just curious how much that one made. If I can find my mouse. There it is. Okay. Ooh, look at that drop. Dropped it down to 23. And A Working Man dropped down to 28. That one's only in 88 theaters and drops only in 146 theaters now. So I know Working Man is streaming on Amazon Prime. That means Drop should be streaming pretty soon too. I'm looking for, let's see, where is Revenge of the Sith? Oh wow, it's not even here. Okay. I was hoping it would still keep track of that one, but that's okay. But another movie that they tried re-releasing was Snow White. They re-released it on Mother's Day. I just saw it. Where was it? There it is. They re-released it in 1,300 theaters over Mother's Day weekend, but it only made $467,113. So if you think about it, that's only about $350, $51 per theater. So this didn't just bomb once in theaters, it bombed twice. And what a horrible movie to release on Mother's Day if you think about it. It's all about the wicked stepmother trying to kill her daughter. Why would you re-release that on Mother's Day? WTF? So yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Let's go back to me. There we go. So that is the weekend box office. Oh, I just wanted to know like what they were about. That's all. Let's go back to that screen. This one. Back up a little bit. The first one's called Shadow Force. And the second one's called Fight or Flight. I'm just curious what they're about. Ooh, this way. Seems like my mouse is working again. That's good. Okay. So yeah, the first one's Shadow Force, and the other one is Fight or Flight. So you drink, and then we'll get to the main event. Okay. Final Destination Bloodlines. So let's go to IMDb. Oh, let's share the screen first. And go to IMDb. Back to the top. Final Destination Bloodlines. I love this poster. Let's take a look, shall we? There we go. Yeah. That's awesome. So here is the description according to IMDb. Plagued by a recurring violent nightmare, a college student returns home to find one person who can break the cycle and save her family from the horrific fate that inevitably awaits them. It was directed by Zach Lipovsky. Lipovsky. Sorry if I butchered that. Adam B. Stein. It's written by Gary Busick, Laurie Evans Taylor, and John Watts. And it stars. They got a little list here, but I got a bigger list. Gabrielle Rose, Breck Basinger, Caitlin Santajuana, Tio Briones. Sorry if I butchered that. Rhea Kielstead. Sorry if I butchered that again. Alex Zahara, Richard Harmon, Owen Patrick Joyner, and of course, Tony Todd has a cameo. But I'll get to that in a second. So in the tradition, hold on, let's go back to the poster. No ads. I'm not sponsored. There we go. Cool. Okay. So, in the tradition of many other horror movie sequels, such as Wrong Turn, Pet Sematary, Hellraiser, Day of the Dead, and yes, even Tremors, comes the new Final Destination sequel with the same subtitle. That's right, Bloodlines. So what I really liked about this movie was how directors Zach Lipovsky, I'm really trying to say your name, sorry about that, and Adam Stein, they do well at foreshadowing while building tension before subverting expectations using camera work. So they'll focus in on like a shard of glass, and you kind of see the path of how it gets from one location to another until finally the guy ends up stepping on it, like in the previews. Just little things like that. They use a lot of Dutch angles, they use a lot of overhead shots looking down, and they use close-ups of these puzzle pieces as these domino effects happen that lead up to these impending fatalities. And it's really cool the way they do it. It's very engrossing. I was on the edge of my seat most of the time. The opening accident massacre is one of the best in the series so far. Partly because it hits close to home. You can kind of see the tower here in the poster. It looks similar to like the Skyline Tower near Niagara Falls, or the CN Tower in Toronto, or even the Sky Needle in Seattle. I think that's what it's called. But therefore, I visit those two other ones frequently. I've been there a lot. So I have worried about like being on top of one of those towers and the whole thing just going down on us. Like that is terrifying. And I'm surprised it hasn't touched on that before. But it's good that they keep things original with the opening accidents too. They don't just repeat themselves. They did that with one of the movies, but I'll get to that too. If you're familiar with the franchise, you know what I'm talking about. Without revealing too much, it starts with a really interesting premise. It takes the franchise in a whole different direction without backtracking or undoing anything from the past in those other movies. It's also got a lot of fun callbacks to the previous installments, too. One thing I didn't like, though, was the cinematography. It's not always consistent. It doesn't always match up. It doesn't look seamless like it should. But it is full of clever kills. Some of the most clever in the franchise, if you ask me. However, it does have too much CGI for my liking. And sometimes the green screen / blue screen scenes, because I'm not sure if they use blue screen or a green screen, but either way, it doesn't look very good. The graphics kind of remind me of the Sharknado movies, because they're kind of cheap looking, especially that tower. It really reminded me of the one Sharknado with the tower in it. I think it's part 4. But yeah, it looks kind of like that tower. Like, it looks so fake. It doesn't even look like a real tower. Oh, I was told to check the comments. So let's pause the review for a moment. Let's go back to me. And get rid of this because that's funky. There we go. All right. So Sabrina did her little follow-up. She is my lovely assistant after all. Show this one. Shadow Force is about an estranged couple with a bounty on their heads that must go on the run with their sons to avoid their former employer, a unit of shadow ops that have been sent to kill them. Ooh, that sounds interesting. I'd watch that. And then Fight or Flight. A mercenary takes on the job of tracking a high-value asset known as the Ghost in an international flight, realizing the plane is filled with assassins assigned to kill them. Okay, that kind of sounds like that Bullet Train movie with Brad Pitt. That sounds fun. I'd watch that one too. Spooner says both. The pair must work together in a fight to save their lives. You're welcome, beautiful. She also did these lovely notes for me once again about the Final Destination movies. Thank you, Sabrina. She does a lot of behind-the-scenes work. I wouldn't be able to do this show without her. Okay, so let's get back to the review. Brief intermission. Ooh, excuse me. My throat's really dry and scratchy today. I don't know what's going on. I guess I'm dehydrated or something. I don't know. Oh, okay. So let's go here. Oh, no, not that. Let's go add a stage. And back to IMDb. Here we go. Perfect. Oh, I just got to pull my review up. There we go. Okay. But yeah, like I was saying, the special effects don't look very good. And there's way too much CGI. The other movie special effects from 20 years ago look better than this movie. So that says something. The writers, Guy Busick and Laurie Evans Taylor, managed to do something with the script that I thought was impressive, because their script answers a question that I've been pondering ever since the first Final Destination movie. That was back in 2000. And can you believe Part 5 came out in 2011? It's been like 14 years. But anyways, the script answers a question I've been pondering ever since I saw the original. What if somebody could prevent a mass number of people from dying in a disaster? Then those people would go on to have families, entire bloodlines, that weren't supposed to be alive according to death's grand design. That's awesome. That's what this film's about. I love how it takes it in a new direction, but still stays in line, in theme with the other movies. That's really clever. I give him credit for that. Keeping it fresh. Sometimes, though, the pace slows down too much to over-explain things to the obligatory skeptical characters. Because, of course, you got to have people that don't believe what's going on. There's got to be that conflict. Sometimes it would drag on so much, though, that I wish they would just hurry up to the next kill already. But when it does get to those kill scenes, it does have great fake outs. And it's not over-reliant on jump scares. That's one thing that's really good about this franchise. It earns the scares. Because the sheer thought of being in these relatable, terrifying situations. The characters are likable. I actually cared about them when they died. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me again. Some scenes, like some of the deaths, are actually sad because you get attached to the characters that much. That says a lot too. Because the thing about horror movies, the reason they can have so many sequels is if everybody gets killed off in the last movie, you can just replace the cast with all new people that face the same horror villain. But this cast, I like this cast. I thought it was pretty good. Gabrielle Rose is the main character. She plays Iris. Caitlin Santawana is Iris's grandmother. Tio Briones. He was on the Chucky show, and it's cool to see him doing movies now. It's nice to see him get into another horror franchise. Raya, I'm really trying to say your name. Kielstead? Kielstead? Again, sorry for butchering that. She plays Darlene. She is. Oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Tino Briones, he plays Charlie. Charlie is Iris's sister. Sorry, brother. So we got the main character, Iris. Her brother's name is Charlie. Her mom's name is Stephanie. That's Raya Kielstead. Trying so hard. Sorry if I butchered that. Then you have Alex Zahara. He plays Howard. That's Darlene's brother. Eric is one of their cousins. That's who Richard Harmon plays. And then Patrick Owen Joyner is Bobby. He's another cousin. So these are the main characters. You got Iris. You have Stephanie, her grandma. No, wait, sorry. Yeah. Stephanie's the main character. Sorry. Start over. Stephanie's the main character. Iris is her grandmother. Got it. Charlie's her brother. So you have her mom, Darlene, and then Howard is their uncle, Darlene's brother. And his two kids are, well, two of his kids are Eric and Bobby. They're two of the main characters. They're the cousins. And yeah, they all fill their roles really well. They have great chemistry. The banter between the two of them is, well, not two of them, between all of them is hilarious. They really do a good job of showing that family dynamic, how people don't always get along, but when it comes down to when it's important, they have each other's backs. And it's really cool how they display that through like little conversations or like little looks that they give each other, or even just the way they say things. Like, sure, they're not always like super nice to each other, but that's family. You forgive and forget, and you help each other out. That's the main thing. It really does a good job of showing that family unit. And I think this is the first time where it's actually focused on a family like this in the franchise. Because before it was either a group of friends or it was a group of strangers brought together by circumstance. So this is a bunch of people that know each other really well. It's a very close family, except for like the estranged mother. But there's a lot of the family drama too, which drives the plot. That's really the heart of the film. And of course, Tony Todd has his cameo. It was bittersweet seeing him back as Bloodworth. And what they do with the character is especially clever. Sadly, this is going to be the Final Destination with him in it. Even though he wasn't in all of them before, it's still sad with the idea that he's not going to be in any future installments. Unless they do some weird like CGI thing or de-aging thing like they did in Alien Romulus. But I hope they don't do that. Please don't do that. Just let it rest. His performance is so captivating. And it's commendable that he chose to be in this film, considering his condition at the time. You can really see how much this cancer affected him. Like he lost a lot of weight. But I'm glad he made it a point to be in this movie. That shows how important it was to him to be in this movie too. Similar to how Val Kilmer was in Top Gun Maverick, it shows how important it was for him to be in that movie. How much it meant to him personally. They even do a nice tribute to Tony Todd before the credits start to roll at the end, after the movie's done. And I love how they brought back the iconic score. It still gives me chills. It's so foreboding. So let's go back to me. Here we go. My sister says, I really like that poster. Yeah, it's so cool how they did that. It does a good job of foreshadowing too, that first scene. Each poster kind of does that. And I like how they really try to shake things up. It's not just more of the same. Oh my God. Let's talk about some of these kills. There's one with the garbage truck. That's pretty cool. I don't want to say too much, but there's one with an MRI machine. I'd asked my brother because he works in a hospital to see how legit this was. But yeah, he says those machines are so powerful. They can even pull like hospital beds if you have them cranked up too high. So the fact that they looks like they did their research, but that's probably the highlight of the film. But I don't want to say too much. I don't want to say too much. That's all I'll say. MRI machine. Oh my God, so clever. But still, there's a lot of CGI blood. There's not that many practical effects when it comes to the kills. I had the same problem with the It movies. They're good. They're scary. But there's too much CGI. And the CGI does not look good. So, overall, the characters have the family drama that drives the plot. But unfortunately, it does become inconsequential toward the end because there's no character growth like there was in the other movies. But I love how it doesn't feel repetitive or derivative because it puts this new spin on the premonition aspect, like most of the other films do, but it's a whole new angle. I didn't say what it was because I don't want to ruin that. That's part of the twist. But it's cool. I talked a little bit about why it's called Bloodlines, but there's more to it going on. And that's about all I'm going to say about that. And I love how it carries on tradition of having a sharp, dark sense of humor. There's also a kill with a piano that made my theater roar with laughter. And I had a pretty good crowd too. It was about 3/4 full. I saw it in the afternoon. It was one of the first showings. So yeah, the theater experience was really good too. The crowd was really into it. Everybody laughed. People gasped. Like it was a good crowd. So sometimes your cinematic experience gets affected by who you're watching it with too. And it's more fun when you have a room full of people that are really into the franchise like you. And like I said, the kills are some of the most clever in the franchise so far. But not just the franchise. In recent horror movies, too, these are some of the cleverest kills that I've seen in the last few years. The domino effects leading up to the fatalities are some of the most entertaining scenes in this movie. Like, it's so much fun. That's the emphasis. It's funny, it's fun, and it's scary. There's a good blend of horror and humor. Kind of like the Scream movies. That's why I like those ones so much. Most importantly, this film carries on tradition by following suit with other franchise entries while simultaneously subverting expectations. You think it's going to go one way, and then it doesn't go that way at all. And then it just kind of pulls the rug out from under you again and again and again. It's really cool. It's a very fun, welcome addition to the dormant franchise. And remember, it's ironic that even though no one escapes death, this franchise just won't die. So, my official grade for Final Destination Bloodlines is large popcorn. I love this movie. I highly recommend it. See in a theater with a full crowd, with a packed audience. I heard some theaters are even doing a marathon. They're playing the first 5 movies, and then they're going to play the 6th one after that. So you pay one fee, and they get to see all the movies in theaters, back to back. That's cool. So, now that the review's done, let's get to this ranking, shall we? Oh, wait, hold on. There's a comment here. Pause. Comment first. Again, another good movie as it gets going but fizzles out to a lackluster ending. Why does Hollywood do this to us? Yeah. This one doesn't do that, though. I found the ending very satisfying without saying too much. They wrap things up nicely, that's all I'll say. So I'll just share the screen. Now let's go to Letterboxd. Because I have this list set up. Oh, was this it? Wait a minute. Go here. List. Okay. So I got the movies listed here. Right now, these are just in the order of release. This is not the official ranking. But I figure I'd try a new way of ranking things on the show. You got all the different posters here. They always keep up that theme of having the skull. It's kind of cool how they apply it in different ways. So anyways, let's go to, let's see, how do I edit this? Maybe I go back. Oh, that's how. Okay, edit. Here we go. So yeah, here's the list. This is just a list of the movies in order of release. So at number 6, down at the bottom, probably no surprise if you're a fan of these films, I'm going to have to go with The Final Destination from 2009. Because for one, that's a stupid, confusing title. Maybe they thought at the time when they made this was going to be the final movie, but who knows? This was the 3D movie. At 2009, 3D was a big gimmick that everybody was trying. So let's just go here. Is this going to work? No. Okay. Let's try, I'll just go IMDb instead. I kind of like the poster on this one better anyways. Sorry. The Final Destination. Stupid title. You can't just call it Final Destination 4. We all know what it is. Keep it simple. Here we go. Here's the synopsis. A horrifying premonition saves a young man and his friends from a death during a racetrack accident. Sorry, I'm not doing the voice. A horrifying premonition saves a young man and his friends from a death during a racetrack accident, but terrible fate awaits them nonetheless. I'll try that one more time. That was horrible. A horrifying premonition saves a young man and his friends from a death during a racetrack accident, but terrible fates await them nonetheless. But terrible fates await them nonetheless. There we go. We got there. I can read. So that's another thing. The opening accident in this one is very derivative because they already did a car accident. Go ahead. I do like this poster though. That's kind of cool. And this movie does have its moments. Like it's got the one kill when the guy gets pushed against the fence. That's kind of funny. And then when the racist gets killed, he gets dragged along the road. That one's kind of funny. Then there's the pool one with the guy. But this movie's so cheesy though. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just ranting. Back up. Okay. The Final Destination. This came out in 2009. It was directed by David R. Ellis. It is written by Eric Ress and Jeffrey Reddick. It stars Nick Zano, Krista Allen, and Andrew Facilla. The budget for this one was $40 million. And it made $186 million for the worldwide gross. So it did make good money. And 3D is not cheap. I bet that's where most of the money went. But the cast isn't good. The characters aren't likable. They don't have any chemistry between each other. The whole movie looks like it's like a made-for-TV movie, almost like it's a CW show or something like that. It's because there's a lot of TV actors in this movie. And then the CGI is just really bad. Like they really lean heavy into that 3D gimmick. And I never saw it when it came out in 3D. So maybe that also affects, my viewing of it. But still, the humor is cheesy. The lead-ups, the domino effects, they're not as clever. So yeah, that's why this one is at number 6. It's so derivative too. It's just very, very disappointing film. I was very excited when this came out too. So at number 5, I'm actually going to put, it's right there, Final Destination Bloodlines. Because as much as I enjoy it, I still like the other films more. But this is a very fun edition. Don't get me wrong, this is not a bad movie just because it's ranked low. There's a huge difference in quality between part 4 and part 6. 6 is actually a good movie. I would not call 4 a good movie. I was even questioning rewatching part 4 just because I hate it so much. Like it's up there in poor quality. I'd compare it to like Freddy's Dead or like Insidious Chapter 5 or like Friday the 13th Part 5, New Beginning. That's the level of badness that we're talking about. Like, So I'm surprised this wasn't a franchise killer. Like some of those other ones were. There's another one too. I just can't think of it right now. Yeah, I lost it. But yeah, number 6 is Bloodlines. Because as much as I like it, the other ones, in my opinion, they have better characters, they have better stories, there's more of an arc for the characters, and they have these premises that take the film in different directions, especially 5, which is actually my number 4. And let me just double check that. Yeah. So number 4 is part 5. So for the rest of these Final Destination movies, I am going to talk spoilers because it's pretty unavoidable. Let's get that poster. Final Destination. Oh, geez. Destination 5. This is the one that opens up on the suspension bridge. Oh, wait. What is this? Final. Try that again. Destination 5. Oh, I hit the summer movie watch. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. Here's the synopsis. Death returns to claim the lucky survivors. Oh no, I'm not sponsored. Okay. Death returns to claim the lucky survivors of a deadly bridge collapse in the 5th frightening installment in the series. This is a cool poster too. So part 5 came out in 2011. It was directed by Stephen Quell. It was written by Eric Heiserer, sorry if I butchered that, and Jeffrey Reddick. It stars Nicholas DeGosto, Emma Bell, Arlene Escarpita, and of course Tony Todd. This one cost $40 million to make, kind of like the 4th one did. That's actually surprising because that one was in 3D. But anyways, and the worldwide gross was $157 million. So this wasn't a franchise killer by any means. It just took a long time between movies for whatever reason. Maybe they couldn't come up with an idea. Maybe it was in development hell. I'm not quite sure what the full story is. But this one's really clever because at the time, it wasn't advertised as a prequel. And you don't even find that out until the very final scene. So it's the kind of movie that makes you rewatch everything that you just saw. Because there's little clues here and there, like the technology that they have isn't as recent as 2011 would have been. The kind of cars they drive are like from that era. This movie actually takes place in the year 2000, just before that Flight 180. And it ends on that flight, and it comes full circle. So that's why I like this movie. Aside from the characters are really likable. This is one of the best casts in it too, aside from some of the other ones. But yeah, it's funny. It's dark. The kills are really creative too. Some of the best ones in this one. There's the massage parlor scene. I like that. There's the laser eye surgery scene. That's pretty clever. Oh, eye stuff always makes me squeamish in movies. So the fact that they actually touched on stuff like that is really scary. Because people have that kind of surgery every day. It's supposed to be just a basic procedure, right? So yeah, that's why I like Final Destination 5. Back to Letterboxd. Next up, at number 3, at number 3, I'm going to put the first Final Destination. So let's pull up that poster. Final Destination. There it is. Because as much as I love the original film, I feel like the sequels do a better job of exploring the idea. But again, this has a great cast. They got great chemistry between each other. You really believe that they're a group of friends because of the dynamics they display between them. The deaths in this one are really clever too. They got that train scene when Sean William Scott dies. They got the kitchen scene with Miss Luton. They got that bathroom scene with Todd. Holy crap. That one. excuse me. That one's really scary too. But it's strange because that's the only instance where it looks like death is covering its tracks to make it look like these are accidents. The water retracts from the back of the toilet or the tub or whatever after Todd gets killed. And that's the only time it really does that. So it's interesting why they only chose to do that once and never again within the films. But I'm getting ahead of myself, as I do. The first Final Destination I almost said the wrong one. Came out in 2000. So I was in high school when this came out. I would have been 15. It was directed by James Wan. And no, this is not the same James Wan that directed Saw and The Conjuring and the Insidious movies. Different James Wan. He spells it W-O-N-G. It was written by Glenn Morgan, James Wan, and Jeffrey Reddick. It stars Devon Sawa, Ali Larder, and Kerr Smith. The budget for this one was only $23 million, and it ended up making $112 million worldwide. So you can see why this became a franchise after this movie came out. It has a strong concept that you can constantly explore and build on with each film. It's got a good cast. It's got an original idea at the time because it takes the basic slasher premise, but makes the killer this unseen force. And it's really cool how they do that. They made a very interesting choice not to give the killer a face. The fact that they never have a character representing death is equally smart because it's scarier as this looming unseen force. Let's face it, nobody wants to see a version of the Grim Reaper in these Final Destination movies. That would bring it, that would cheapen it, and that would make it a whole different level of cheesy. Like, for example, something like that works in a movie like The Frighteners, because that's what kind of movie it is. Immediately, it establishes that it's this cheesy level of absurdity it's trying to achieve, and it's not taking itself seriously at all. The difference is Final Destination does take itself seriously to a point, but then adds in the silliness here and there. But it's not over the top. It's just enough to keep it grounded, to keep it more, I don't want to say realistic, but more like relatable. Because I find when you can laugh with characters, you feel closer to them. You can connect to them that way. And part of the fun is piecing together the puzzle pieces of how death's going to strike next. It's all about the foreshadowing up to the incident that happens, because it could go any different way. It shows 4 or 5 different scenarios. It could be one of those things that causes the death, or it could be all those things in tandem. So the way that it plays with your expectations is unlike anything that was out at the time. And it's cool they keep doing that again and again and again, but keep subverting the expectations. And of course, this has the infamous plane crash scene, which is one of the best scenes in the franchise, I think. Very spectacular how they did that with only that kind of budget. But that's why it's at number 3. It's great, but the others improve on it. So at number 2, I'm going to put Final Destination 2. Oh, wait, I don't think I read the description for the first one. Because I like how they put it. After getting a premonition about a plane crash on his school trip, Alex, a student, saves a few classmates. However, the situation gets complicated when death starts chasing them. So yeah, that's part 1. So at number 2, I have Final Destination 2. So let's pull that one up. Because I just like the poster they have on IMDb a little bit more. I can't spell today. Destination 2. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, that's not the poster I was thinking of. They have another cool poster. I put it in the thumbnail. Go away. Not much. So here's the synopsis. Well, could not think of the word there. Wow. Here's the synopsis according to IMDb. Death is striking Kimberly Corman and multiple survivors of a deadly highway accident. This is the one that has that massive, 20-car pileup. And after seeing this, a lot of people became afraid of log trucks. Even when I'm on the highway, I noticed a lot of people aren't behind the log trucks with good reason. The cool thing too is that crash scene is mostly practical effects. That's the thing about part 4 that really bothers me. It's mostly CGI. They're not actually crashing these cars and doing all this stuff, so it takes away from the authenticity of it. You don't feel the impact of it as much as seeing real cars being driven to explode and roll and do all these crazy things that stunt drivers do. It's very impressive work. And like I said, it still holds up today. That's why practical effects are so great. They're timeless. So part 2. This came out in 2003, 3 years after the original. This was also directed by David R. Ellis. He directed part 4. So the fact that he came up with this one and then came up with 4 later on is baffling to me because 2 is really good. It was written by J. Mackie Gruber. Sorry if I butchered that. Evan Bress and Jeffrey Reddick. It stars A.J. Cook, Ali Larder, and Tony Todd. The budget was $26 million, and the gross worldwide was $90 million. So it didn't make as much as the first, which is kind of surprising. But this one really does a good job of taking everything to the next level, like a good horror sequel should. It increases the stakes. It changes the rules slightly, but not too much that it takes away from the original. And it really ups the ante on the gore. This has some of the goriest kills in the whole franchise. There's the apartment scene that's on fire with the fire escape. That's the thing about these movies too, the irony of it. That's what this movie is especially good at. Things that are supposed to save people end up killing them. Like in this one, they have the fire escape, ends up killing the guy, and then later on, they have the scene with the airbag that ends up killing the lady. So I think that's hilarious how they flip those things around like that. even have an oxygen machine, so someone's on life support, and one of those machines starts suffocating someone. So that's what I mean. There's 3 examples of how it uses irony. And this has one of the best endings, too. It's hilarious. One of the things I like is how no one is safe in these movies. And this one establishes that practically right away because kids get killed in this one. I don't think, except for on the first one, I know there was a baby on the plane. But aside from that, the kids don't really get killed off in the first one. Well, they're teenagers, but yeah. The main characters don't even last more than 2 movies. But I'm curious, because they never touch on it after this movie. What happens to Kim and Officer Tom Burke? Because they ended up cheating death, and then she died, and she came back. So I guess they beat it, but is that the end of their story? Are they going to appear in other sequels? Are they going to get killed off screen like Alex did in this movie? I thought he got done dirty. I don't know why Devon Sawa didn't return for the sequel, but they chose to kill him off screen. It says in an article briefly, like if you blink, you'll miss it. A brick falls on his head and killed him instantly when he was walking down an alley. So I feel like that's kind of like lazy writing. It's almost like they didn't know what to do with that Alex character, even though he could have carried the films on. And again, the domino effect, the hints, the clues, everything is so much better in this one. Oh yeah, the elevator kill. One of my biggest fears is being stuck in an elevator, and this explores that. And it's terrifying. I love it. So those are some of the reasons why Final Destination 2 is number 2. So, obviously, that leaves number 1. Drum roll, please. Oh, I just scared the hell out of my cat. Sorry, Ursula. She doesn't do well with loud noises. Oops. Number 1, Final Destination 3. There's no contest, really. I love this movie so much. Easily my favorite. Probably because it explores one of my biggest fears. Being on a roller coaster and it going completely off the rails. This actually stopped me from riding roller coasters for a long time after I saw this the first time, when it first came out. Took me a bit to go back on roller coasters after that. 3. This also, I think, has the best cinematography. I think this movie has the best cast. And hands down, I know I keep saying it, but this one easily has some of the best kills. I mean, you got the nail gun scene. You have that subway scene at the end. There's the tanning beds. That's another fear. Not of mine, but I'm sure people are afraid of getting stuck in a tanning bed and being burnt alive. Holy crap, that's terrifying. But here is the poster. It's got the best poster, too. It's so cool. The way it does the loop like that, and it has the people upside down. And you see the little details, like the order of the people, the way they're sitting. You got the skull there. Just like the other ones, it's got the skull. But unfortunately, this one doesn't have Tony Todd. Well, not really. He does like a voiceover role, but you don't actually see him in this movie. I don't even think he's in the 4th one at all. So he's in all the movies except for 4. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. So here is the synopsis. There's the tanning bed scene. Here we go. Wendy Christensen and a group of teens who escaped a fatal roller coaster crash face a bloody date with death. back to the poster. There we go. So, Final Destination 3. This one came out in 2006. So, I was about a year out of high school at this point because I graduated in 2005. But it was directed by James Wan. He came back for the third one. It was written by Glenn Morgan, James Wan, and Jeffrey Reddick. So that was the original team, I believe. Let me just check. Yeah, Glenn Morgan, James Wan. Yeah. So the original team got back together. The budget, cast first. It stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Wendy Christensen, Ryan Merriman, and Chris Lemche. Sorry if I butchered your name. Anyone, sorry if I butchered those names. The budget was only $25 million, and this one grossed $118 million worldwide. So it made a great amount of money. I almost said good and great at the same time. Yeah. Kind of like what I was saying before. Like, even the way they filmed this roller coaster scene, it's really well shot and edited. It does a good job of capturing the fun of being on a roller coaster, and then that bait and switch when you see the chain of events leading up to the domino effect to how the roller coaster ends up having the accident. And even that scene, because her boyfriend gets stuck on the roller coaster, he doesn't get off. That scene is heartbreaking. You really feel for the Wendy character. This one's all about Wendy. And I got to give a shout out to Mary Elizabeth Winstead, because she really does a good job carrying this movie. And this one has one of the best ideas, because after the premonition, that first night, she takes a bunch of pictures, and they have to kind of piece together the clues in the photos of how the person is going to die. So one by one, they have to save each one of their friends. And there's another character in this movie called McKinley. He's a really great character too. He's very logical. He's very scientific. He's very grounded that way. So you have like this mystical aspect, the supernatural side with the unforeseen force. And then you have the logistical side where they question everything. And that's why I like this movie. It's really increases the, it ups the ante with the intelligence. It's very smartly done. They could have just took the easy way out like they did in part 4, but no. They did a good job of making the characters people that like there's a lot of archetypes in this film. Well, all the films have the archetypes. You got the jock, you got the smart kid, you got the cheerleader girls, you got the popular girls, those kinds of people. You got the smart girl, you got the stoner guy. These horror movies all have these cliched characters, but the way that they make these characters feel like real people that you've met before in your lifetime is really cool. We've all met a McKinley type character. We've all met the Wendy type character. Even the main guy. I forget his character's name, but Ryan Merriman. He was in Luck of the Irish. He's a pretty good actor, and it's nice that he's got his own movie like this too. The two of them, him and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, do a really great job carrying the film. Their chemistry is so good. Another thing I like about these movies too is they don't just try to shoe in a love story for the sake of having one. Even though the characters go through the traumatic experiences, it increases their friendship. They don't really become romantic with each other. And I like that. Not every movie needs to be a love story, especially slasher films. You can have the friendships and still make it emotional and heartbreaking. I mean, you can care for these characters because they're so relatable. And they're funny. So those are a few of the reasons why I love Final Destination 3. There's really no contest. I mean, great cinematography, great cast, great direction. James Wan does a really good job of shot composition too, the framing, And the pacing, the pace for this movie is incredible. Like, this movie just breezes by. It doesn't even feel like an hour and a half. That's how good it is. It's brisk, but it just doesn't feel rushed, which is key. And this is one of the best endings too, because it does that fake out with the premonition on the subway. So it's too bad these characters didn't survive, because I would have liked to see at least those two come back. But that's the thing about these movies. They're not afraid to kill off the entire cast and then come back with the same idea, slightly different, with new people. So let's go back to me. Actually, wait, let's go back to this. So yeah, quick recap. Number 6, The Final Destination, aka Part 4. Number 5, Final Destination Bloodlines. Number 4, Final Destination 5. Number 3, Final Destination. Number 2, Final Destination 2. And number 1, Final Destination 3. Let's just save this list. So if you're interested, you can look at this on Letterboxd. List was saved. Awesome. Now I'll go back to me. Oh, my sister has a comment. I really like this one with Devon Sawa. Yeah, he's such a good actor too. He also played Casper in that live action movie. And he was in the Chucky show, the first couple seasons. And he was in Hard Eyes this year. That just came out in February. He's one of the cops. He's really good in that movie too. I almost forgot he was in that. But yeah, I love me some Devon Sawa. So this concludes tonight's episode. Again, I highly recommend Final Destination Bloodlines. Just because it's number 5 on the list doesn't mean that it's a bad movie. I mean, one of the things I love about Final Destination is this is one of the most consistent horror franchises as far as quality goes. I mean, I'd rank this alone up there with like Scream, the Chucky movies, Saw, and Evil Dead. That's how good this franchise is. And there's a huge difference between number 6 and number 4. 4 is the only movie I would consider in the franchise to be bad. Kind of like how in Child's Play, I'd only consider like See the Chucky to be a bad movie. Scream, I'd consider Part 6 to be a bad movie. And then, of course, Friday the 13th, I already mentioned 5. And then Freddy's Dead is really bad too. There's Insidious 5, it's really bad. That's the level of badness for Part 4. So I would want to make that clear. 4 is the only one I consider bad. I do recommend Bloodlines. It's so good. What's your favorite Final Destination film? Leave comments below and we can talk about it. And with that, I will say good night. And I'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a good night. I'll see you at the movies. Have a great day. Hold on. I'll start that again. Sorry. Redo. Here we go. So, until next time. I'll see you at the movies. Have a great day. Did you know that I'm a film critic for HorrorBuzz.com? You can read my reviews on their website, and I make frequent appearances on their YouTube channel, HorrorBuzz Live. So I'll leave links below for that too. One thing I forgot to add. if you like the Final Destination movies, I highly recommend The Omen, The Candyman, and Cabin in the Woods. They have similar ideas, but they take them in different directions. I highly recommend those 3 movies if you like Final Destination. So with that, I say goodnight. I'll see you next week.